You're listening to From Our Lens, a podcast for photographers and brides where we dive into all things weddings.
Whether you're a pro behind the lens or a bride-to-be, we've got you covered.
Join in on the conversation and take it from the gals who have been to a wedding or two.
Grab your camera or your wedding planner and tune in for our hot wedding takes. Let's focus on your forever. Okay, we're back again. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
How are you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing grand.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. We are ready for another fun little episode. We're doing takeaways from famous wedding movies.
Yeah, Sarah is making me watch all these movies I've never seen, which I should have seen already by now, probably. But
I'm a big rom-com girl, and
I am too, but I feel like you've just seen all of them.
Yes. Well, the one we watched...
I didn't see the one yesterday.
The Father of the Bride. Somehow I've never watched that movie, and it's so cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we thought this would be a fun little series because a lot of, especially like the older movies, there's so many like weird things that happen in movies, and like
I think it's
also
just
inspiration.
It's interesting to take inspiration from them, but there's also so many things you can learn, like lessons you can learn from those movies.
Totally.
And obviously,
even if it's funny and silly, it's a thing. Whatever.
Obviously, they're more dramatic than real life,
for sure.
But that's how you kind of see it from a different lens and like kind of take yourself away from it. So it's cool.
Totally.
I wrote a bunch of notes while I was crying through these movies.
Yes. I think we'll start with the most recent rom-com that came out that everyone's freaking out about.
Everybody take a moment of silence. Everyone knows what we're about to say.
Everyone knows what we're about to say.
It's good. Anyone but you.
Yes. This is like, everyone was freaking out because finally we got like a good rom-com. And of course, it is about a wedding. So we thought it was perfect.
I like held off watching this movie. Yeah. The first time I watched it was yesterday. Yeah. When we like did all our notes. Yeah. And I loved it.
Yeah, it's so cute.
I think it's cute.
That was my third time watching it.
Really?
Yeah.
You watch movies like all the time.
That's my editing thing. I watch movies. But yeah, we have some fun.
We're going to like go through
our little list.
Our list of notes and kind of like just chat about all these little things we've picked out through the movies about like what's good, maybe what's bad, like something to learn, like a lesson to learn, just like stuff we've noticed.
Yeah.
So
let's go with the first one.
Okay. Yeah. So this first one's funny. It's kind of just cute, but anyways, I don't know if you haven't seen the movie, you might be a little bit confused when we go through our list, obviously.
We'll explain.
But we'll explain it.
Yeah, for sure.
So in the beginning, when they like just get the wedding invitation.
Yes.
They've done it in Canva. We love Canva.
Yeah.
If you have not heard of Canva, it's like, well, how would you explain Canva?
It's kind of like an easy Photoshop, but like
for making like brochure,
creating anything. Yeah. Like I do all my Instagram posts through Canva. I do like all of my like pricing guides and stuff. Like it's kind of like you can look up pink flower and they have like a graphic of a pink flower, you know?
Like, do you guys remember like not PowerPoint, but there was those Excel or those Microsoft programs where you could make brochures and like they had all the templates and stuff ready
this is
for
like
you.
That, but a million times
back
better.
In the day.
Yeah.
This is that.
Yeah.
But you have full creative
you can
capacity.
do Christmas cards, you can do wedding invites, like and they have templates and the templates are like amazing.
But they used Canva to make their wedding invites and they did like a little e-invite and I'm like obviously this is like a tiny little detail that like I noticed.
But it's a tip.
But it is like honestly, if you have not heard of Canva and you're trying to plan your wedding on maybe like a budget or you just want to like have creative control of what you're trying to do, definitely go check it out.
Because you can make seating lists, you could make table numbers, you can do so much.
Yeah. So
especially if you're someone who enjoys that kind of stuff. I think like it's a really good resource. I love Canva.
Yeah, and even just getting ideas from it.
Yes.
Like just inspiration.
Totally. Yeah.
So that's the first one. Just a cute little thing I noticed. I literally saw Canva and I was like, oh, look at them go.
That was definitely like a sponsored thing in the movie, obviously.
They did a good job. Yeah, they did a good job. Okay, well, when they arrive in Australia, they arrive and they're all staying together in that little VRBO or like their little Airbnb or whatever they've rented.
It's like a big home.
Yeah, and everybody's like staying together for the wedding. Like obviously the wedding's more than one day or it's only one day, but they're staying together longer than one day.
They made it like a family vacation.
Yeah, and
with both sides of the family.
We've kind of talked about this before in like our ins and outs and things that we think are going to be like coming up and hot in the wedding industry is doing like those wedding weekends.
Yes.
And as much as they didn't have like a whole wedding weekend, but they did
Well,
because
it was
they
a
had
wedding,
everyone.
Like, trip. And I think like, especially with destination weddings, that's why it's so special. And we've talked about this before, but you can go on a trip with your family and like both sides can meet. And in this movie's case, like they show that, you know, they didn't really know the other side of the family. So this way you're not just like, oh, it's one day, we get to meet the other side of the family and that's it. Like you really get to know each other.
But yeah, I think it's cool that they had everybody stay together. Yeah. And you can see in the movie how everybody's like hanging out together. Yeah, everyone's in the pool. Everyone's like being friendly. Yeah. And then by the time the wedding happens, they've already been together for a few days because they go on hikes together and then they go and like they eat dinner and they have their rehearsal party together.
And then the celebration's even more fun because everyone's comfortable. And yeah, I think that's such a bonus because yeah, when you do a wedding in your city or your town, like you're there for one day and you kind of say hi to everyone, but that's it. But with a destination wedding, then you really get that quality time.
Yeah, so we loved that. Like, love. I think it's cool that they did that in the movie because it's definitely a trend right now. They probably did it on purpose.
Yeah, totally.
But we can take that away. Like, we love that. I think it makes the experience even better. And also, yeah, like, just everybody had so much more fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Oh, let me just say the
next one. Like, well, the next one is a big fan of a small wedding, and which is what they had. So
yeah. And the other thing with the destination wedding is it was so small. Like, obviously, not everyone can take their family to Australia for their wedding, but like any destination you can do gives you the excuse to have the smaller wedding because it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive, and people aren't going to all travel, and it's just. It's so nice to have that intimate small and you know nothing wrong with a big wedding, but it's harder to do with a destination. And I don't know, like when I'm thinking of the movie, I think there was like 20 people there.
There were 30.
No, I think
was more. Yeah. But they really did just have like that small little elopement with family. It's not just a true elopement where it was just them. Yeah. They took like their small little group and we so love cute. That. Yeah. Okay. Another fun thing in this movie that I really loved, which was like the whole part of the movie, was all the drama that was going on between those two characters. Yeah. What are their names again? It was Ben and B, and how their drama kind of affected the whole wedding, right? That's like the whole premise.
They weren't the bride and groom. They were like the best man, maid of honor.
That was like the whole premise of the movie. Yeah. But I think something cool that we can kind of take away from this is other people's drama on your wedding day. We're just gonna like talk about this for a hot second because obviously it's a movie, so it's a lot more like dramatic than probably what it would normally be. I mean, you never know. I'm sure that happens. I'm sure it happens. Which like obviously you can't control other people's drama. In this case, they tried to make it more dramatic by trying to push them together, right? Yeah, I feel like they kind of caused that. But I think like one thing, obviously it's a movie, it's not real life, but one thing to remember, like even with all the drama that could happen on your wedding day that is not involved with you, I think it's important to realize like in this movie they make it a big deal, but like I think even if it has to be like a conversation you have with your family and friends, like look, like suck it up, please don't make this my wedding about you, because really it is something that if you care about the people getting married, because obviously you do, you're in their wedding or you're at their wedding, so they want you there, you want to be there, you care about them. Yeah. If you care about them enough, you can put your drama to the side for a day.
Especially when like that is something that people wait their whole life for. It's one day. Like as much as you can, I think you just have to put everything aside and really make that day about the bride and groom.
Yeah, because it's not your day to make it about you. Like maybe pick the next day. Yeah. Fine.
And it honestly can completely ruin the vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. There's things you can do.
Okay. One of the best parts of the movie, in my opinion, was their ceremony.
I loved it
because it was so on trend. It was so like ahead of the time of like what everyone's doing, because they had the colors. Like it wasn't just one color, everyone wore the same dress. Like I don't think there's many bridesmaids in this movie.
I don't think so,
but just the colors and the satin and the flowers and the ceremony looking over the ocean, it was just like, oh,
well, it was a very simple ceremony, but they used a pop of color in that just simple way to really like make it the star.
And it fit the location because it was like on the water. The colors,
it didn't take away from them getting married.
No, not at all. And another thing with the ceremony that we are big fans of. We really, really, really root for people to do this. But they had the dad as the officiant.
Yeah.
Which honestly...
We're like, me and Sarah watching it, we're like, oh my God,
crying.
it's the dad!
Yeah. It's just like, it makes it so much more like sentimental, emotional when you have someone up there that like is a part of your life.
And he made it fun.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember exactly what he said. He's like, feel the wind on your face.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a little cheesy. But honestly, no, it's really not. I think it would still be good at a wedding.
I love it.
But he like took into, like, he didn't just say the cookie cutter.
Yes.
Like, do you take
blah,
Sally
blah, blah.
to be June's wife? Like,
yeah,
he didn't just do the cookie cutter. He like incorporated where they were and the family aspect and like just
and their relationship and
personal. Yeah.
I think people just kind of sleep on that a bit with, you know, they're like, whatever, we'll just get, and it's just, some people really don't care and that's totally fine. But if you want like an extra element of, you know, just beautifulness.
Just beautifulness. If you want it.
Yeah.
If you want it to be more personal, that's such an easy way to do it.
And then
I
you
think
can
people get
them
caught
to personalize the whole speech and everything. And
I honestly think people get caught up and they're like, oh my God, I have to just use all these props or like decor to make my wedding personal when you could.
This was so simple.
You can use just a small thing like this
totally
to make it more personal, and people are going to remember that more than like what flower you picked for your personality.
You're like, how sweet that your dad did your wedding. Yeah.
And then they'll feel special about it and they'll never forget it.
No, totally. And one of my favorite parts, they also had their dog in the movie.
Oh yes, when he runs in with the rings.
Also, like, that'd be hard to get your dog to Australia.
It is hard.
Like, it would have to go under the plane for like how many hours?
Also, like all the you
Poor
have to
dog.
Listen. I only know this because I used to work at a vet clinic. But but when you take your animal like to different countries, you have to, especially for Australia, you have to do like rabies titers, and like you can't just get the rabies shot. You have to like test them for their rabies vaccination. Like,
and you have to do something at the airport because when we brought,
it's very
I was with
different.
my friend and we brought her mom's dog to Mexico, and we had to go through like a whole screening process with this little dog.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
But if he's important to you, it's worth it.
I would want my dog.
Also, everyone beware, like, I don't know, that obviously it's a movie, so like he couldn't run away with their rings. But if you have a wild dog, maybe let's not. Like, he can still be included, but let's not give him the rings, maybe.
Yeah. Well, what does the dog does something in the movie? It like smashes the cake or something.
Oh yes, remember? I think that's on my list.
Yeah.
It is like
chaos.
And
they also had live music during the ceremony.
Yes.
Which I love.
Oh, we're a fan.
Maybe I have had live music at a ceremony, but you don't really see it often.
No, I've seen it a few times, but it's not. No.
Or like they'll play a song through the ceremony, like someone will come up while they're signing. That's always cute. I like that.
It gives people something also to distract their minds from in that little moment. We talked about this in another episode where like they're signing and it's kind of that moment of awkwardness. Yeah. So if there's not something going on, people do get a little weird.
And usually they'll play music, but like I think it's special having someone like if you have like musicians in your family for someone to sing, because it kind of distracts from like just staring at you signing.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think there was a photographer in this movie.
There was at the dinner. At the dinner I saw
but not at the ceremony. That's one thing about movies, about weddings. I'm like, where's the photographer?
I do that all the time.
Because that's like the main character. No.
Where are we?
Yeah.
They should have hired us.
I know. I mean, oh my goodness.
I'll be there next time.
Yeah. Maybe Sydney Sweeney and or Ben and B's wedding will be hired. Was it a backyard so for their reception, they did it in the backyard of their like Airbnb house. Maybe it was that they don't really. It's a movie. They don't say whose house it was, but it was so cute.
Yeah,
I love.
Again, it makes it more personal because you're not at a fancy venue.
It feels cozy.
It does feel cozy. Like you can kind of relax. I feel like a little bit more.
Sure.
Everyone's at ease because they've already been at this place for like a week. Like, and everybody.
Good vibes.
Yeah, there's good vibes all around.
Yeah,
like
I think that's my dream is like backyard receptions, especially.
Oh yeah,
it's just I feel like it's kind of the picnicky like what's that word? Tea party, garden party. I love like everyone's dressed up, but it's in the backyard, and I think that's so pretty. Love.
I think another thing to definitely take away from this movie is a lot of things happened in this movie and not according to plan, which as in movies because they do.
It's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com. Things are going to happen. It's like part of the funny part of the movie. But like a few things happened that they didn't want to happen. Like they lit that sparkler off by accident and like ruined their rehearsal dinner, which that was like definitely a little chaotic and maybe just the rom-com.
Yeah,
Hopefully that doesn't happen to people's actual.
Yeah,
never know. But also the dog knocked the cake over.
Yeah.
But
because everyone was fighting.
Everyone was fighting, and it was a little bit of a scene. But did you see, like, so when you're watching the movie and they're having their dinner, they still do a little cake cutting. But obviously, since the dog ruined the cake and it's all smashed up, like, they still put it out. Cute. They still ate it. They made the most of it. And I think it's just a really good reminder of, like, you need to roll with, like, obviously, like, that's horrible. And that cake was beautiful. I'm sure it cost a lot of money. And, like, yeah, you could just be sad about it. But they just rolled with it. Like, they let it be.
And with weddings, you just have to, because you can't let something small. And, like, in the end, is that really going to ruin your wedding day?
No. The fact that they rolled with it and still ate off of it and laughed together, and they're like, oh, we're eating our, like, smushed cake. But, like, they'll remember that forever, and it's a funny memory instead of sad.
It's so common at weddings for things like that to happen.
Yeah, so that, like, rolling...
Not to burst your bubble. But
no, but it's just, like, your life... No one's life is perfect. Things are always going to happen.
Especially on a wedding day. Like, you have so many things planned for all of the stars to align and, like, everything to go perfectly.
Yeah. Honestly, like, like, you almost have to you have to go with it.
Yeah, totally.
It's just a day. It's just a day, right? Yeah. Like, let's not freak out. Okay. I have one last one. As much as other people may be going through things, you need to remember that at the end of the day, this is your wedding, and you need to be almost a little bit selfish and enjoy it instead of stressing about other people's problems. And I just, like, I put that in here because you remember the part where she sat on the side of the dance floor and the bride, and they're like, you should go for a little walk. Would you like us to come for a walk? And the other bride's like, we're not going for a walk.
Yeah. Sorry.
and it's like, I actually, like, really loved that moment because they are like that one, like, I can't remember what the bride's names were.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But they were like, she was like, no, honestly, no, like, we're going to enjoy our wedding day.
Yeah.
And it's like they were being a little selfish because, yes, like, other people are going to have problems. And there's so many people in life that if someone around them, this is such a nice trait to have, is to want to take care of your friends. And if they're going through something, like, you want to be there for them. But there comes to be a point, especially, like, if it's your wedding day, you have to be a little selfish. Like, you need to enjoy yourself. Like,
and also, I'm like, I understand it's a movie, whatever. But I think, the girl that was upset, just suck it up. Just kidding.
Oh, no, you're not kidding, though. No,
but, like, if you're the maid of honor and something's going on, like, yeah, I understand. But also, it's your sister's wedding.
Like, wait till tomorrow and be sad about it.
Yeah.
Like, we want you to be sad about it, but just do it tomorrow.
Yeah. And, like, if it's whatever. But I think there's a line where you don't need to make it completely about you. Yeah. Which is very, I don't know. Depends what it is, too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But I think just let's be mindful.
Yeah. And, like, they're the main character today.
Yeah. Not in this movie, but.
No, but.
But that day is their day.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and our last takeaway, get married in Australia. Take us with you. Please.
Please. That would be insane to do a wedding in Australia.
I would just stay there. I don't know if I'd come home.
You've been to Australia?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm so jealous. Did you go where they were in the movie?
I don't know where they were in Sydney. So yeah, I've been to the Sydney Opera House.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
It was great. Like I went when I was in high school, but like we rented a van and drove up the whole coast. We were there for a month.
That's so cool.
Yeah, my parents got engaged in Australia.
Stop.
Yeah. We'll have to have them on.
Yeah, let's hear. That's better than my parents' engagement story. My dad proposed on his birthday to my mom.
I feel.
In a parking lot, she had the stomach flu.
Funny. What? That's so sad. I'm sorry.
Don't say that. TT.
Yeah. No. You know what would be cool?
What?
Doing blind reaction to proposal stories from Reddit.
Oh, okay. We're gonna do that next.
Yeah, that would be funny.
I like that.
Okay, so we analyzed Anyone But You, brand new rom-com, but now I think we should throw it back.
Throw it back to 1991.
Was that when it was from?
I think so. Maybe it was 1990.
Sarah actually found this one because she hadn't seen it before, and I've never seen it before. But it's Father of the Bride.
Yeah,
very cute movie. I really liked it. Movie. Yeah,
we were laughing so hard.
Yeah,
it was so hard.
It was good. I used to think a wedding was a simple affair. Boy and girl meet, they fall in love. He buys a ring. She buys a dress. They say, I do. I was wrong. That's getting married. A wedding is an entirely different proposition. I know. I've just been through one. Not my own, my daughter's. Annie Banks Mackenzie. That's her married name, Mackenzie. I'll be honest with you. When I bought this house 17 years ago, it cost less than this blessed event in which Annie Banks became Annie Banks Mackenzie. I'm told that one day I'll look back on all this with great affection. I hope so. You fathers will understand.
Okay.
I just wanted to talk about that little monologue because
Yeah.
obviously I did not do it justice. He does it a lot better than me in the movie.
So funny.
But it's funny how it, like, even back in the day, weddings were even more dramatic than I feel like they are now.
This movie really opened our eyes. The fact alone that in the movie they say that the bride's parents have to pay for the entire wedding. Like, what?
That's very, very old style, like,
Yeah.
how it used to be. And
like, they talk about the
$250 a head is what they were talking about. How, and it's just like, I mean, I think there's still people that do like the crazy extravagant weddings like that.
But in this, the wedding is in their house.
Yeah.
And it's $250 a head.
Yeah. I think it's just a good reminder that it's a little bit crazy.
Let's take it back from the beginning. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we are getting
beginning
crazy.
of the movie.
It actually is like the first thing I have on my list, though, that it's tradition. This is what it's from the movie. It says it's tradition for the bride's family to pay for the whole wedding.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a thing anymore.
No.
And I don't honestly understand where that tradition came from.
I think that's just very old school. Like, this movie is over 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but I just don't.
But even my mom, we were like, was that a thing? And she was like, yeah, that was a thing. It's just a tradition, I guess.
Okay, but my question is, why is it the bride's family? Is it because the groom's family buys the ring?
I don't
like the
I don't
groom's.
know.
Do you know
I don't know?
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it's like, okay, but like, so the groom asks. Obviously, a marriage is like a 2-person commitment,
for sure.
But the groom is the one that asks. They're the one that say, "Will you marry me?" So then, why the heck is it the bride's responsibility when she wasn't even the one asked? Like, he asked her, he can pay for it.
That is very valid. And times have changed, though.
Honestly,
goodness.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is still very.
I feel like
common.
most couples, it seems like, pay for their own weddings.
I was going to say, I think it's still common for parents to help out with a wedding.
Yeah,
but I don't
just
think
depends on the situation.
I think you're right. It's more now on the couples, which I think
people are getting married later in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in this movie, the girl's 21 or 22.
22.
Yeah. And like the parents talk about how they were like,
he was like, "You're too young to get married," and then the mom, she's like, "Honey, I had my baby when she was this, like, I had her when she was
that's how old
this
I was
age."
when I had her.
And he's like blown away. And it's like, it's definitely, I think people are waiting.
Yeah. And now people are like
older.
late 20s, sometimes early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are still people that get married young, but you don't have money at that age. So,
no, if you really want to have the wedding you want, people I think are fine now to wait longer so that they can have the wedding that they want.
Yeah, totally.
When they're in the stage of life.
Still so wild, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that they said in this movie, the wedding planner said it. The crazy wedding planner.
Yeah, the crazy wedding planner.
The cake determines the wedding that you're having. And I'm just like, what? Is this just like something
that must be another old
tradition?
Because honestly,
people
barely
don't
have
even
cake. Acknowledge. But that was such a thing. Like, the cake cutting.
Back then, yes.
Was such a thing. Like, sometimes when you look at older wedding photos, a lot of the time, what wedding photo you see is the
one
cake cutting.
The one with the cake, yeah.
I'm going to look up and see why that started.
Yeah, do it.
Okay,
so what did you find?
So I looked up what started cake cutting. And the first one is kind of funny. Interesting. Okay, the wedding cake tradition originates in the Victorian era when it was customary for the bride to cut the wedding cake, also known as the bride's cake. After cutting the cake, the bride was tasked with handing out all the pieces, which represented fertility to all her guests. Don't really get how that represents fertility at all.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. So that part's interesting. And then this one says, the cake smashing tradition, like other wedding traditions, has been a bit of a dark, and then it says sexist history. Okay. It originated in ancient Rome, where a bride would have barley cake crumbled over their head. Okay, I don't know what that one is. There are several reasons why people cut the cake on occasions. It symbolizes sharing.
Okay.
Which kind of makes sense. Cutting a cake symbolizes the sharing of joy, happiness, and love among friends and family. It is seen as another way of bringing people together and spreading good cheer. I think that's cute.
I do like that.
So I understand that part of it.
Yeah.
yeah, but
I love that. That's funny. There's a few weddings I did where the bride and groom served their guests with cake. And I thought it was so cute.
And I think that's kind of the gist of it.
So I'm like, all their guests are going to now have fertility goddesses above them. I love it.
Yeah, and the symbol of the couple's love and commitment to each other. Okay. It's a public display that they're willing to share everything, including their food, drink, for the rest of their lives.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay. I did not know that's what that meant.
No, it makes more sense now instead of just like, oh, why do we have to randomly cut a cake?
I feel like I still would like to do... like it'd be cute to do like a champagne tower instead of a cake cutting. And then like hand out the champagne to your guests or something. I think that's cute too. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's funny.
Yes. Okay. So I want to talk about when they're at the dinner table in this movie.
Yeah.
And they are sitting there with the daughter who's getting married, and her mom and dad.
Yeah.
And they originally had 500 guests.
Yeah.
Invited to this wedding.
Wild.
And they're trying to cut it down. I think this is a good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Because they had a pretty big wedding for
it to be in a house.
For it to be in their house.
Also their house. Ugh, I love it. I'm just obsessed with that house in that movie.
But I wanted to talk about so in this movie, the parents were cutting their friends because all their friends were invited. And I just wanted to talk about that because I think yes, there's obviously... Growing up, you always sometimes there's friends of your parents that you're very close with. Yeah. So I do understand, but I think a lot of the time, sometimes parents will get carried away and they want all their friends to be there because it's a proud moment. They want to show their friends that their daughters are getting married. But I think at the end of the day, are those people that need to come to your wedding?
And I think that's also tradition, that the parents invite all their friends. That's like an older tradition. Now people really like you said, they invite their closest friends of their parents that they have a relationship with.
Yeah.
And I think back then, even if you didn't even know those people, they would still come.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too.
And that just makes your wedding so massive. And if that's what you want, awesome. But I don't know. That's a lot.
Well, because the reason they're doing this movie is because they don't want to spend all that money. $250 a person for 500 people. Well, it's insane.
Yeah.
So they're cutting they're cutting everybody down. Nuts. And I think it's definitely important to...
Yeah.
I think when you make your wedding guest list, make your master list and don't be savage yet. Right?
Don't be savage.
No, but what I mean by that is make your list of all the people you... even when the slightest way you want there. And then take a second and go through it again.
I feel like that'd be such a brutal process making a wedding list.
Yeah.
That gives me anxiety for people having to do that.
Yeah. I'm sorry you guys have to do that.
Yeah. That's why I'm a small wedding. You just gotta... do the closest people. And
honestly, I think people can understand if you're doing a small wedding and you're only inviting your close people.
But I think people still get upset, which is what's hard. But you just have to understand, nowadays, not everyone wants that massive wedding, and
things are a lot more expensive now.
Yeah, everything. The wedding industry is nuts.
Yeah. So really. So let's talk about the part. I loved this part. It made me tear up a little bit. So they're if you've seen this movie, they're outside. It's the night before the wedding. And the bride to be, she's outside playing basketball because that was her thing that she does with her dad. And he found her in the middle of the night. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing, honey?" They have a little cute moment.
Yeah.
And she makes a face, it starts snowing, and it's a beautiful little moment.
Yeah.
And throughout the whole movie, he's always "Oh my god, this is gonna cost me so much. This is money. How much money is this?" He's very stressed, and so that's a big part of the movie. But he makes a face, and she's like, "What's that face?" And he says, "Oh, nothing. I'm just thinking." And she says, "This is going to cost you more money, isn't it? Because it started to snow."
It's snowing, yeah.
And he said, "No, how I'll remember this moment for the rest of my life." And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's we've talked about this in other episodes, but it's the moments that happen, this moment where it's snowing in LA, because that's where the movie's based.
Yeah.
It's a random thing it's a random thing to happen.
Yeah.
But it's
and it could be the end of the world.
Yeah. If you make it the end of the world, it will be the end of the world. If you choose to focus on the fact that it's a problem.
Yeah.
But if you choose to remember it as a moment, it is a moment. And
I think that goes back to the big things that you have planned, extravagant this, extravagant that. What really matters is the little things. And it's back to your people and the moments between you. The fact that she was playing basketball with her dad before her wedding night. Those are the things that you remember from your wedding. You're not going to remember which florist you had and they did this like, no.
Like,
you do,
it's the
but
moments
it's
that don't
the
work out the perfect way that you think they will, that you'll remember.
And people, like, there's so many weddings that I can think of that things have gone very wrong. Like, one wedding we had a complete downpour, but we got the cutest photo of this couple with a umbrella and they're kissing under it, and it's just adorable. Like, and they remember, like, they'll remember the rain and then the rainbow at the end of the night that came, you know, like, things like that.
That's so beautiful.
You know,
love. Okay, let's see. So she had, at the end of her dinner party reception area, they did like the bouquet toss. And she had a dress change, which I think this is very, I mean, I think she was going to the airport, so maybe she just changed outfits.
It was an old school movie where they leave and they have the getaway car and the exit. But that doesn't really,
I think this movie was very ahead of its time in the fact that she kind of changed and she didn't just leave in her one dress. Like, she had 2 dresses. She changed. We love a second dress.
And honestly, like, we've said this before, but get it off of a cheap website. Like, you can just, and like having a fun little moment, but like, you're still white, you're still the bride, you're still having your moment, but like, people get their dresses so trash and it's like, whatever, do you, like, it's still funny when people do that, but even like just to have fun and like a casual dress rather than like, and you know, maybe your wedding dress isn't the comfiest, like put something cute on that you're comfortable in. I think it's so fun. I love it, like a dress change. And put some cute shoes on, like some comfy sneakers or, you know.
And then one more thing that we loved about this movie was the music.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it is an older movie, so the music's going to be,
and it's going to
be
older. That kind of music anyways.
I think, like,
it was so good.
They weren't just playing the Joe Schmo music.
Like, they were popular 90s music. Like, it was very, like,
they were playing
traditional,
romantic, lovey music, which is, again, like the playlist. Like, what do you want to listen to? That was what they wanted to listen to. That's what they did. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, music just completely transforms your whole wedding.
Yeah.
And people just, like, you know, some people don't think about it and whatever, but, like, I think it can just set the vibe.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, so I think that our big takeaway from this movie is don't get caught up in the external. Enjoy the celebration.
Yeah. For sure.
Because really, I think that's the point of this whole movie. Really. It is like that's what they want you to learn from it. Is that, like, all these things might happen. Also, I didn't write this down, but I think we should talk about this. When we talk about how it snowed in the middle of summer in LA. Anyways,
it's a movie.
So when that happened, like, obviously, like, okay, so think about if that happened here, all your vendors would have to pivot. Like, your florist, your, what else? Like, I don't know. I feel like everybody, when there's, like, something crazy that happens like that, it does affect everybody involved with your wedding, like your planner, your florist, your cake designer, like your caterers, right? Everything. But I just wanted to talk about that because in this movie, none of the vendors, like, were, like, ruining anything. Nothing happened because of the snow. Everything went still really great and smooth. And I think,
and they just had to put in probably a little extra work, and that's what you do.
But I think it's just a good reminder to pick vendors that you know you trust,
and they're going to, like,
that are going to work for you even if things don't go as planned. Because, like, that's why we're hiring people with this experience. That's why we're hiring
reliable people
that are reliable. Like, their wedding planner, as much as he was, like, a little bit of a nut in this movie.
Oh, he was supposed to be a nut.
Yeah, he was a nut, but, like, he was, like, hustling for them.
He was shoveling their
shoveled their driveway. He was like, oh my God, move. Like, this is where this needs to go. This is where this needs to go. Everything's organized. Like, everything was still organized, even in the chaos of this snowstorm. Yeah. And I think that's just to show, like, if you hire vendors that you trust and that are reliable and that will work for you, that's so important than just finding somebody random that was the first person that looked up on Google. Like, make sure that you trust your vendors. I think that's just a good thing to learn from this movie.
And the part that just breaks my heart into a million trillion pieces is that this dad is working so hard. He's making sure everything's going to plan, and he's moving cars. He's, like, fixing all these things, and all he wanted was a kiss from the bride.
Oh my God,
and he doesn't even see her the entire reception. And I think that is such a takeaway from this movie, because if you get caught up in all the external, all the guests, all the moments, like, they were like, oh, she needs to be over here for the first dance. Oh, she needs to be over here for the cake cut.
And he's trying so hard to go get her.
And he can't get to her because there's so many people.
I'm, like, crying thinking about it. It breaks your heart.
And then they drive away and he's like, well, what just happened?
Like, he didn't even get to dance with her.
No, but it's so real, because I think, especially when you have your parents, like, they shouldn't be the one having to do all the things. Like, that's why
they had a wedding planner. Why wasn't he moving the cars?
But that's the importance of like, I feel like most coordinators or wedding planners, like that should be their job, so that your parents aren't the ones, because they should enjoy it. It's like one of the biggest days of their lives is you getting married.
His eyes, he looked so sad when he's trying to get her and he can't reach her and she just like.
But it's so real, because that's like, it literally happens.
It's just a nice reminder that like you want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You want to be present. Don't get caught up, like you said. Don't be caught up in doing all the things.
Because it was like, she needed to do this. She needed to do this. She needed to do this. You have to exit at this time. Do this, right?
Yeah. Some things can run a little less smooth if it means that
you need that moment. You need that picture with your dad, or like,
Yeah.
And it happens. But I think if you can, even if you don't have a coordinator or a wedding planner, like find someone that in your life and they'll be like, hey, I can step in. I'm going to make sure everything goes to plan.
Yeah.
And so that your parents aren't the ones, because it's so special for them. Maybe more than it is for you.
Yeah. But she called her dad at the airport.
From the airport. It was all good. He was happy.
But
that movie, if you're like,
it's very good.
If you're in the bride bubble and like,
you should
so
watch
pumped, excited, it's such a cute movie.
Yes, please do.
It's
your
not
homework.
Steve Carell. What's the actor's name?
Oh, I have it.
He's so
George
cute.
Banks. No, George Banks.
That's
the character.
That's the character.
I'm not sure what his name is.
He's like Cheaper by the Dozen man.
Yeah, everybody knows his face.
Yeah, it's the cutest movie. But yeah, that was our first little movie recap.
I think this is fun. Tell us, you guys. Let us know if you like this
and it just gets you in the vibe, the mood of the wedding.
I think it's cool to analyze these movies.
Because there's some good takeaways.
Yeah, and like as much as they're just entertaining, I think like enjoy your planning, watch some fun bride movies. Like
it just gets you in the headspace.
Yeah. And it'll remind you of the important things instead of being caught up in all the things you think you have to do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And there's so many. Yeah, it's just so cute. I love it. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening.
Let us know if you have a movie.
Any movie recs that we need or anything like that.
I think I like our little way of doing like how we did an older movie versus, and then we also did Anyone But You. So Father of the Bride versus like, there's like a 30-40 year difference gap.
Oh, like when what would it be? Almost 30 years.
Yeah. So I think it's cool to see. But like, I mean, both these movies kind of have the same takeaways.
Yeah. What was your favorite?
I honestly,
I liked Father of the Bride.
I like Anyone But You, but I've also wanted to watch that movie since it came out. So I probably hyped myself up.
Maybe I've watched it too many times now, but
probably.
I still loved it.
Cool.
Anyways, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.